there guys, and welcome to a Dash of Sports Premier League review game week 7. I'll be your host and presenter Dashiki Dash, and I'm here with your roundup of games and results from this past week. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also make sure that you lock into this week's brand new episode of a Dash of Sports, where I talk about all things sports related, hot topics and trending stories. But in the meantime, let's get into these games. So welcome to a Dash of Sports Premier League review game week 7, and once again it's been another brilliant week of Premier League football, which I'm literally going to jump into, giving you the roundup of games and results from this past week. Starting off with this Monday's games and working my way backwards. Fulham versus West Brom, 2 out of the 3 promoted sides making their way back from the Championship, and what can I say about these two teams? They've definitely not been showing that they're worthy of being back in the Premier League. Not like Leeds. At least Leeds have been doing their thing. But Fulham and West Brom? Nah. One thing that was guaranteed from this game though. One thing that was guaranteed. That one of these teams was going to lose. So Fulham secured their first Premier League win of the season as they beat West Brom 2-0 to move out of the bottom 3. Bobby De Cordova-Reid headed Scott Parker's side ahead from close range as he was assisted by Alexander Mitrovic's cushion header which set him up. And I'm still getting used to seeing former Chelsea defender Branislav Ivanovic playing for West Brom. Is mad. Well, he was trying to block the header, but unfortunately he just wasn't tall enough. It went looping over him, 1-0 to Fulham. And then Fulham doubled their lead 4 minutes later as Mitrovic was once again involved as he laid the ball off to Ola Aina, who struck an absolute banger from 20 yards out. Now you see these type of games, these are the type of games where you can build some confidence. Look at the goal that Aina scored. He ain't going to be trying to take them kind of shots against other Premier League sides. Against your promoted brethrens, yeah, that's easy to do because you're just oozing of confidence. And these were a much needed 3 points for Fulham. Much needed. Well, Fulham didn't have it their own way throughout the game. In fact, West Brom hit the crossbar through Connor Townsend's misjudged cross when it was goalless. And also, Farland Grant had a chance when there was a misplaced pass in the middle of the park. He picked it up, drove towards goal, but sliced it wide. Could have, shot across goal, but opted to go for near post and sliced it. And the opportunity was gone. But unfortunately, the loss now means that Slaven Bilic's side remain without a league win this season and replace Fulham in the relegation zone. Now, like I said, much needed 3 points for Fulham, but it still doesn't change the fact that I'm sticking by my prediction at the beginning of the season, and my opinion is that both teams will be relegated. Fulham, West Brom, as fast as they got into the Premier League is as quick as they'll be leaving and going down. Yeah, man. They're just here to make up numbers, I'm telling you. And then moving on to the next game of the evening, Leeds losing 4-1 to Leicester at home. Now, Leicester, man, don't do this to me again. Don't do this to me again. Last time I was gassed, I was talking you up, saying that, you know what, you might be able to push for the league, you might be able to compete for the league. 1 point behind the league leaders so far. Could they do it this season? Could they? I'm not saying nothing. Well, Yuri Tielemans struck twice as Leicester recorded an emphatic win at Leeds to move within a point of the Premier League leaders Liverpool. Jamie Vardy was involved in the Foxes' first 3 goals, teeing up Harvey Barnes within 2 minutes of the opener after a costly mistake by Leeds defender Robin Koch. Koch played the ball back and Jamie Vardy was there to pounce, literally went round the goalkeeper because the goalkeeper came out and then just squared it off to Barnes. Barnes just tapped it in, 1-0 to Leicester. And then about, let's say 20 minutes later, Tielemans netted Leicester's second by pouncing on a rebound from Vardy's diving header. And then Leeds responded within the first couple minutes of the second half with a cross that flew all the way above everyone's head and found its way into the net. But Leeds' response in the second half was stumped out as Vardy netted a third for Leicester before Tielemans scored from the penalty spot in stoppage time. This was after Vardy was substituted, so Tielemans stepped up and slotted it away. The best way I can describe Leicester in this game is ruthless. They were absolutely ruthless. They had their foot on Leeds' neck and they were not letting go. So it just goes to show, man, like, with all the pretty football that Leeds have been playing, but games like this, Leicester didn't give them no chance, no space in and behind. And like Brendan Rodgers said, if they left it to like being a basketball game, going back and forth, Leeds can punish, the best of them out there. I like the way Leicester approached this game. It's pretty much similar to how they've been playing against expansive teams like Man City, Arsenal, Leeds themselves now, and they dealt with them. 4-1 win, emphatic. But I know it's early, I know I know it's still early, and I don't want to say anything, so man, they gassed me last season, man. I can't lie, they did. This is actually their best start. Even in their championship winning season, compared to now, this is actually their best start. So, I don't know, man. I think last season what showed me about Leicester was the fact that when it came to the crunch time, when it came to the back end of the season, they just lost their legs a bit. They're involved in Europe this season as well, so I don't know. The first 11 might be able to cope, but the squad in general, as the season goes on, it might take its toll. I don't know. It's too early to say whether or not they're going to be able to compete this season, but one thing that we can say is it's been a brilliant start so far. Well, moving on to Sunday, starting off with the first game of the day, Aston Villa versus Southampton, which put up a 7-goal thriller. As Southampton won 4-3 but survived a late Aston Villa rally to move up to third in the Premier League. After having been denied a goal by the finest of margins following a VAR check in the 3rd minute, the Saints took the lead when defender Vestergaard thumped home a header from Ward-Prowse's special delivery. It was 2-0 shortly after the half-hour mark when James Ward-Prowse marked his 26th birthday with 2 goals, 2 fantastic free kicks. An absolute masterclass in free kick taking, making it 3-0 as they went into the second half. And things still didn't change come the second half with an absolute worldie from Danny Ings, who got involved in the goal fest. Now I feel like I've cursed Emiliano Martinez because I was praising him for all the clean sheets, and now he's just conceded like what? Almost like 10 goals in 2 games. It's mad. Well, it seemed like the comeback was on for the Villains as Tyrone Mings managed to pull a goal back in the 62nd minute, but the hosts couldn't build on it until the game was in its final moments. Ollie Watkins fired in from the penalty spot in the 3rd minute of stoppage time before Jack Grealish struck home from outside of the area with almost the final kick of the match. And now moving on to the next game with a somewhat surprising exclusion of Jordan Pickford as Newcastle beat Everton 2-1. Everton missed the chance to return to the top of the Premier League as Callum Wilson scored twice to give Newcastle a first win in 3 matches. The former Bournemouth forward Callum Wilson opened the scoring, converting a penalty he had won after being fouled by Andre Gomez, and then tapped in a second from Ryan Fraser's looping cross. But still, the game couldn't end without the informed Everton and England international striker appearing on the score sheet as Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored a consolation goal to end the game 2-1 to Newcastle. The result meant that Carlo Ancelotti's side dropped to 3rd place, 3 points behind Liverpool, while the Magpies move up to 11th, sitting on 11 points. And then moving on to the first match of the evening, which was best described as the battle between the informed Manchester United, coming off the back of an epic Champions League win, beating RB Leipzig 5-0, versus an Arsenal team who have struggled with an abysmal record to beat any top 6 team away from home since 2015. Not even to include the fact that they hadn't beaten Man United at Old Trafford since 2006. Well, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's second half penalty gave Arsenal their first Premier League away win over Manchester United since 2006. Aubameyang ended a run of 5 games without a goal by sending David De Gea the wrong way in the 69th minute after Paul Pogba's foul on Hector Bellerin. It was a bit of a weird game because normally United put up a better fight than this, but I don't know whether it was that United were rubbish or whether or not Arsenal just dominated. Which I can really say that watching the game live and then watching it back, I can honestly say it was the fact that Arsenal dominated that game. It was quite, I wouldn't say easy, but it was comfortable for Arsenal. Very comfortable. And now moving on to the second match of the evening, Tottenham 2, Brighton 1. And I could see the headline. I could see it now. Gareth Bale makes his return as he scores his first goal in his second stint in the Premier League. Gareth Bale's first goal since re-signing for Tottenham helped his side beat Brighton in what I can best describe a bit of an action-packed first half. Harry Kane put Spurs ahead from the penalty spot after a VAR check deemed that Adam Lallana fouled the Spurs striker. And then in the second half, Tariq Lamptey scored a controversial equaliser, but this was all after Solly March appeared to foul Højbjerg in the build-up. The referee did consult the pitch side monitor, but believed that there was no foul committed. But then Gareth Bale was subbed on and scored a beautiful header, which was then crossed by his former Real Madrid teammate Sergio Reguilon past the debutant Brighton keeper Robert Sanchez, scoring his first Spurs goal since May 2013. Now I know that this is the moment that every Spurs fan has been waiting for, as Gareth Bale scored his first goal since making his comeback to Spurs. Now listen, it was a well taken goal, a brilliant header from a perfect cross, earning his side all 3 points, sitting nice and high. And now moving on to Saturday's round of games, starting off with Sheffield United and the ex-bullies Man City. Right now I feel like Man City are the ex-bully that gets found out, comes back into school the next day and nobody respects them no one fears them, no one's scared of them no more, like. But they ended up winning 1-0, a goal from Kyle Walker, scoring against his boyhood team with muted celebrations. A game that you wouldn't write home about, but at the end of the day, winning 1-0, clean sheet, away from home, against a Sheffield United team that at the moment, I don't know what's going to happen with them. Seems like it's the second season syndrome. Yeah, I feel like they're one of the teams that have been really suffering without the fans. You know, they were great, you know, in the first half of the season, pre-COVID times, but then since post-lockdown, they've just not been the same team. I think it's going to be a struggle for them this season. I can't really see them getting or gaining that type of form that they had previously. But we just got to wait and see. Hopefully it's not a situation where we're going to end up seeing Sheffield United in a relegation battle. And then moving on to what was literally a comfortable and dominant display by Chelsea, beating Burnley 3-0 away from home, with goals from new signing Hakim Ziyech and an absolutely thunderous bullet of a header from Kurt Zouma, and another goal from new signing Timo Werner, who looks like he's literally found his feet now, scoring goals for fun. So it's good to see. It's good to see that Lampard is now getting these players working together. They're gelling nicely, and this is pretty much what the rest of the Premier League feared. Once, you know, the talk was, oh, can Lampard get these players to gel? He's just buying players for no reason. But look, they're looking good at the moment. Another clean sheet, looking more solid defensively. So it looks like it's working. The only downer is Pulisic got injured again. So he looks like he's not quite right, man. That hamstring injury that he had at the back end of last season seems like it's affected him. I'm not sure if it's a reoccurring injury, but these are the things that happens when you get a big injury. When you get a massive injury, then all of a sudden, you just start getting all these niggly injuries, and yeah, man, it doesn't look good for him right now. But hey, hopefully he makes a speedy recovery, and you know that Chelsea are even more better with him in the team. So not only having 3 that's printed on their shirt, that's 3 goals, 3 points, currently sitting in 9th position on 13 points. Not too bad, 3 points behind the league leaders, Liverpool. But yeah, they're looking good. I can definitely see Chelsea up there pushing for those Champions League spaces and also pushing for that league. You never know, man. You never know. And then moving on to the reigning and defending champions, Liverpool, who didn't have it all their way in the game against West Ham. In fact, conceding an early goal from Jacob Fornals definitely had Liverpool up against the ropes, sweating. But in true champions fashion, they still managed to find a way to win and take all 3 points. Substitute Diogo Jota scored for the 3rd straight game as Liverpool came from behind to beat informed West Ham and go top of the Premier League table. Now Liverpool are not firing in all cylinders, but they are still managing to get the wins, they're still managing to get the W's, and that's a sign of a real champion right there. And not to be expecting that they're going to be at the level that they were last season or the season before that, not at this stage. But hey, all you can do as a team, when they line them up, you knock them down. And so far, so good. Sitting in 1st place with 16 points ahead of the whole pack. And now moving on to Friday's game, the first game of game week 7, Wolves versus Crystal Palace, and with goals from France under-21 left-back 19-year-old Ati Nouri, who scored on his Wolves debut, followed by Portuguese winger Daniel Podence, who doubled the hosts' advantage 9 minutes later, carefully guiding in Pedro Neto's cross at the back post. Now this was a steady and convincing win for Wolves, although in the second half Crystal Palace kind of turned it up And yeah, Zaha was just left frustrated in that game as well. There was a penalty decision that was dismissed. Yeah, that kind of threw him off his game a little bit as well. But all in all, Wolves deserved their goals, deserved the win. And like Crystal Palace, they're so indifferent. It'd be like one game they'd be playing out of their skin, and then the next game is just like, ugh. You got the likes of like Zaha, Townsend, and a few others that really turn it up. But they're so sometime-ish. And that's what they need to change up. They need consistency. Otherwise, they're just going to be mid-table. And I don't know. I don't know what Crystal Palace's ambitions are, but yeah, they just remind me of those teams that are just happy just being in the Premier League. Like every other team should be, but you should be trying to be a bit more ambitious. And I feel sorry for the likes of Zaha, who seemingly it looks like he's just going to end up just wasting away at Crystal Palace. And that's a wrap for today. But let me know if there's any standout moments, any standout games that you enjoyed or you didn't enjoy. Good or bad, let me know. Because this week, there were some good games, man. I enjoyed them all. I watched them all and I enjoyed them all. There were some standout moments like James Ward-Prowse's free kicks. We also got Gareth Bale obviously scoring his first goal since making his return back to the Premier League. And then, you know, you got Arsenal beating Man United 1-0 away at Old Trafford. That was the highlight of my weekend. But let me know, man. And also, did your team win, lose or draw? And how well are they doing so far this season? And please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. I really need all your love and support, and I do truly appreciate it. And also, don't forget to watch the brand new episode of A Dash of Sports, episode 29, where I talk about all things sports related, hot topics and trending stories. Until the next time here on A Dash of Sports Premier League Review, peace.